Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and it's time for another episode of What's the Plan? And with us, as always, on What's the Plan is Community Development Director Barton Brierly. Barton, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
You ready for the big holiday season? It's right around the corner.
Yes.
Got all your shopping done? And,
I think so, yes. Kids are going to be happy this year. So.
Excellent. And did you ask Santa for anything in particular?
No, I didn't.
Really? I'm like that too. It was, what do you want for Christmas? What's on your... Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't.
You know, that's good.
Anything I get, I'll be happy with, and yeah, I'm doing okay. So it's not like I have this hole in my life that I need to fill with a gift, but cash is always good too. So
family's good, and community's good.
Yeah,
Vacaville's great.
What more could we want?
Christmas in Vacaville.
Oh God, don't get me started. Start the music, Wayne. All right. So, but of course, we're not here to talk about the holidays, are we?
No.
No, we're here to talk about what's happening in your department. Hence the name. What's the plan? But as usual, and I hesitate to say this because we say it every week, every episode, you got a lot going on, don't you?
We do. We thought, hey, we'll get through all this stuff and get a break, and it hasn't happened. A lot's still happening.
Yeah, when I first started working here, Christmas was kind of busy, but it would slow down a little bit, and then the economy soured, and it was kind of quiet almost all the time, right? Mm-hmm. But that slowdown is gone. There's no slow season for us anymore, is there?
No, there's not.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Good for us, good for business, good for the community. But so tell us about some of these projects that have been approved and where we're at in the process. We've kind of mentioned a few of these, but in the past. But let's get a little more into what's going on now.
So two big projects that we've been working on for quite some time. One is the Farm at Alamo Creek project. Mm-hmm. We've been working on that for a couple of years. That is the project that's east of Leisure Town, just north of Elmira Road. So there's planned to be 768 dwelling units, a community park, the Play for All Park, a couple commercial areas, and it's some really interesting features they put in the project. There's going to be a private clubhouse there, pool, there's some walking trails, there's community garden. They're going to do an orchard along the edge of the property, so instead of the standard sound wall, they're actually going to do a mound and an orchard there. So
nice.
That's some neat features for that project.
So you mentioned the Play for All Park, but there's also another park or two parks in there?
Well, yes, it's a
combination.
It's actually like 15 acres park, and the Play for All is going to take about 8 acres of that.
Gotcha.
And then there's another 7 acres that'll be sometime down the line.
Gotcha. Okay. So the orchard, is it going to be like fruit trees or something like that, or have they decided yet?
Still talking about trees, might be olive trees.
Okay. I asked because we had a tree guy here, and I brought this up in the past. And I always asked him, why don't we plant fruit trees out there? Always plant magnolias or flame trees, pistache, all these other trees. Man, how about some apples? But and then he explained to me, the problem is then you have lots of apples that end up laying on the ground. It's a mess. They're hard to maintain. Oh, okay. But anyway, so, we'll see. Well, they might put, olive trees is being considered.
Yes.
All right. And you know what else? Not to digress anymore. How about those ornamental plum trees? Shouldn't we outlaw those things? They're horrible.
Yeah, we had one in our yard once, and it has these tiny plums. We actually made jam out of them.
Oh, you did? You did use them.
It took forever to get enough to...
Yeah, you got a plum the size of an olive, and most of it is pit, and usually they just leave a mess all over the street or the yard or whatever.
Yes.
Whose bright idea was that? Luther Burbank. I bet he had something to do with it.
Yeah.
No, okay.
It's a challenge to get the right variety of trees. Some mistakes over the years.
What happens? Sometimes it's just hit or miss, right?
Yes.
But it's not your fault. It's not planning's fault. Okay, good. All right, now we got another project that's met with a little bit of controversy, but tell us about it.
Yeah, that's the Farmstead project. That's the one on North Orchard at Fruitvale. Mm-hmm. And that's 130 units. They also have a park, a small, will be more of a passive natural park there, 3 acres in that. Small lot, single family development. And so that went to the Planning Commission and to the City Council. City Council did approve the project. A couple next steps is it has to go to the LAFCO, the Local Agency Formation Commission, for annexation. There's actually the properties just north of Fruitvale are not in the city either. It's kind of it's weird. It's an island. Everything around it's the city, but this little island that never got annexed. So we'll have to talk about how to deal with that island.
Yeah, not to go off on another tangent, but here I go. When you look at a map of our city, that's what you see. You see this area of property off to the western side of town, and there's that little square. I mean, it's like literally a cube that's not in the city.
Yes.
But that has to do with how LAFCO and how the city operated many years ago versus how it operates now. They won't let you do that hopscotch around thing anymore, will they?
That's right. And in fact, LAFCO will probably make us annex that whole area so that we don't have that donut hole. That's part of LAFCO's job, is to make sure that you have logical boundaries. And if you think about it, the Rural Fire Protection District going to drive through town to get to this donut hole to put out the fires, or does it make more sense for the city to be the fire protection?
Yeah. Well, and it's not unique to us either. When I worked in Vallejo, there were two areas that were like that, Beverly Hills, and for some reason I can't remember the other one, but they were unincorporated parts of town, right in the middle of town, in the middle of a neighborhood, and there was a sheriff's substation there. I don't think there was anybody ever there. Yeah. If they were, they weren't there much, but their public safety response people were the sheriff's office, but our guys would respond. I'm sure our guys respond to these areas too.
Yes.
All right, so those are both single-family home type projects, farm at Alamo Creek and Farmstead?
The Farmstead's all single-family residential. The farm at Alamo Creek actually has some variety there. That some of it is duet lots. It's a duplex where you can own half of it. So sometimes you call it attached single family or just a duplex. But the council really wanted some variety of housing, and so the developer came up with that, and we were excited about that opportunity.
Speaking of variety, we have some apartment projects moving their way through the pipeline too, don't we? Yeah,
we do. Actually, the Planning Commission just last week approved the Nut Tree apartment project, which we're really excited about. This is just behind the Nut Tree, between the commercial Nut Tree development and the airport, and there's a 260-unit apartment complex there that's always been part of the plan. And we're really excited about that because just think about living there.
Yeah.
You want to go for lunch. You got 30 restaurants that you can walk to.
Outside your front door, basically.
Yeah. The battery goes out on your phone. Oh, Best Buy is right there. And want to go shopping, buy something. There's all these shops there. So it's just really ideal location for that kind of living.
Yeah, and that project has been on the books for a while, and now it looks like it's starting to get a little more momentum, and it's going to happen. At least that's what the developer said the other night at the meeting, Rick.
Yeah, Rick Capretta said he was looking forward to breaking ground on it in 2019, so we're hopeful that'll happen.
Yeah, it seems like, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, I really am. No, I'm just kidding. When I got married, right, you found an apartment, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom maybe, and it didn't have, if you were lucky, the complex had a pool, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, some of these apartment complexes that are getting built, certainly here in Vacaville, Quinn Crossing and the ones at North Village, these are they have a lot of nice amenities, man. They got this nice pool, they got a workout room, they got a theater, they got this, they got that. It's clearly a sign of changing times. Or is that a fair assessment? Or
Yeah, that's true. It costs a lot of money to build these apartment complexes, and so in order to attract the clientele, you can't just charge the same rent as everybody else is and expect to get new clients there. So they're upping their games. They're adding a lot of amenities.
So along with the Nut Tree, we have Casa de Vista.
Yes, that's another one that's has a lot of features in it. So that's near the Travis Credit Union building, right across from the Vacaville transit center there. So they're proposing a 250-unit apartment complex on that site, and that's another one that's going to have a lot of features: a jogging trail around, the basketball court, the clubhouse, and fitness areas, a dog park in there. So a lot of features there.
Dog park for residents.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, let's not go crazy here,
Right.
Barton.
But that's another one of the features. You know, a lot of people have dogs, and
Right.
you know, if you live in an apartment complex, you want to have someplace to take your dog.
And that's another huge change. I mean, when my wife and I got married, no pets, no this,
Yes.
no that, you know. In fact, our landlord, it was like a 4-building complex. And he and his wife lived in that side of the complex. I mean, he's breaking a million rules, I'm sure, but if you had kids, you weren't allowed to live in that side of the building. It was like, oh, okay, Bob. But nowadays, I mean, pets are allowed, kids,
Yes.
everything. It's almost, not an issue anymore, is it?
Yes, I know when we moved to Vacaville, we lived in an apartment, and they charged us pet rent.
Yeah, right.
We got
right,
the cats, and
You got to pay a little more, but at least they didn't say no cat.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us to choose, because we had to have a place for the cats.
So, and then Allison TOD, a transit-oriented development.
Yes, and that's the property just north of the transit center. Actually, the city owns that, and so we're looking at changing the zoning to allow mixed-use development there. So we're looking at some ground floor retail, upper floor residential on that particular property. And part of the reason for that area, because it's close to the transit center, because you're close to shopping, this is like the Nut Tree.
Right.
It's a great place for having a higher density development where you can walk to all these things. That it reduces the travel time, helps in greenhouse gas emissions, and just the cost of living, and it's a very attractive place. That's one of the reasons why we're trying to promote development right in that area.
Yeah, and access on and off the freeway. There's the bus station there, which you can get on any bus. It'll take you almost anywhere in Solano County and the rest of the Bay Area,
Yes.
actually. So it's a good setup.
Yes.
All right, so that's good. We've heard the hue and cry of lots of folks, current residents and residents who want to be residents. Huh? Maybe I don't want a single family home. Maybe I don't want a 3,000 square foot house. Maybe I just want a nice 2-bedroom apartment or a condo.
Yes.
And this is a move in that direction, clearly.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of local workers. It's people who work at the Nut Tree, people who work at Genentech, who work at Icon, who work, a lot of the local businesses here that just wanted an apartment, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment, and
Yeah, I'm not going to have a family, or I had my family, or whatever the case may be.
yeah, seniors,
Right.
a lot of need for senior apartments, huge need for
I think we have zero availability right now for senior housing, don't we?
Yeah, the 5 years I've been here, every year it comes out the report, availability, it's always zero.
Zero. Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to build more of that too. So get on that, will you?
Yeah.
All right. So we've had a lot of residential development in general, or is that not a fair statement?
Well, we have a lot approved. Actually, 2018 was a little bit slower for actual construction. We're about 2 weeks before the end of the year, and we've had 220 units built this year, which is a lot, but it's down from past years when we've been doing 300, 400.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And again, I hate to bring up the planned growth, the PGO, Planned Growth Ordinance, which allows us to build like 1,000 houses every year, 900. We've never even come close.
No, we're going to do the report again this year, and it's going to show there's.
Yeah, we're not even sniffing the right number. All right, so accessory dwelling units. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, so the council updated our accessory dwelling unit ordinance. The state has requirements, and so we amended it to comply with the state requirements. So an accessory dwelling unit is where you might add like a small apartment in your backyard, or it's also called mother-in-law units, or a granny flat, or you might take a garage and convert it to a dwelling unit for a relative or somebody. And it's actually been pretty popular. We've had 10 applications this year, and 6 have been issued permits. We had one come in and said, Mom lost her house in the Paradise Fire. And
Oh, great.
So I'm building an accessory unit for her. So.
And you denied it, of course. No.
No. So yeah, I mean, people were concerned that we're going to get hundreds of these, which we're not.
right.
But they're trickling in, and it's a good source of housing.
So you mentioned, converting a garage to a living area. I mean, that wasn't allowed before, was it? Or was it?
It has been for quite a while.
Oh, it has?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's lots of garage conversions. There's standards that you have to meet to do it. So, yeah. it can be
Oh,
done.
okay. All right. I always thought that was not allowed, but that's good to know.
It's been allowed. Get a permit.
All right. Now, here's something else that's, I know there was some buzz about it, but I think maybe it was just a misunderstanding. The Residential Design Standards Ordinance. I mean, that's something that we've been working on. I was assisting your staff with setting up surveys and doing things on the website for a couple of years at least. It might almost be 3 years since we started that process with Lori Seuss. Remember her?
It's been about a year and a half.
So is that? Oh, okay. Well, time's going a little faster for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but this is an important aspect of what you do every day too, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So any residential development. We have design standards, so you have to go through it. Unfortunately, those standards were written in the 90s, and they reflected...
The 1890s? Oh, I'm sorry. I kid because I care.
And
1990s.
Yes. And they work great for kind of standard single-family residential development. So you could see the mindset was you're either going to be a standard single-family residential development or you're going to be in an apartment building. And they didn't really address anything in between. And so people came in and wanted to do interesting things, like this duet project. It's something a little bit different. And then you read, how does the code work? It really doesn't work because it's kind of in between. So we updated that. We did get a lot of feedback from those surveys.
Yeah,
People like different. It's kind of, we've had enough of that 1990 stucco
with the pillars
Spanish
and the
style.
Is there
something different?
Is there any way to write a code that is completely flexible and it's wording that says as things change, you're allowed to change? I mean, it just seems like these things get etched in stone, and then it takes a lot of work to redo them and fix them. Is it possible, or is that just the nature of the beast?
It's really the nature of the beast. You're planning ahead, thinking what'll be best. How you can address things as good as you can. But no code ever covers every situation.
Right,
That's one thing I've learned.
So the council's going to deal with this in January, and then we'll have some new design standards.
Yes.
And then so I bring in my 100 home development, and I can do a few different things that I maybe wasn't able to do prior to this. Then. Right.
Yeah. One of the things that we get requests for constantly, people love one-story homes. There's a big request for it. But one of the things is if you put a one-story home on a lot, you bump up against setbacks, you bump up against lot coverage. And so the developers are constantly asking for these exceptions so they can do the one-story homes, which a lot of people want to buy. And so we're amending the code to make it a little easier to do one-story home. That's kind of an example of what we're doing.
Well, we've heard that from guys when they're asked, how come you don't build more one-story houses? All I hear is I want a one-story house, but it's not that easy to do when the rules say you can only do so many things on a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So this addresses that. Good. And speaking of those fabulous codes that are the lifeblood of your department, we're going through those, aren't we?
We are. We're actually going to do an entire rewrite of our development code, or an update, which is a big project. But it's all of our ordinances deal with the zoning, with the landscape standards and street standards, and everything that you need in order to develop property. We have a development code and a lot of standards in there, and we're going to do an update of the whole code.
Is it ever considered, and maybe we're too big a city for that, to just start all over? Say we've made so many amendments, we've made so many adjustments, but I guess that's what you do with the general plan, maybe. But to just say, all right, let's go back to square one and say, here's what a lot will look like. Here's what, I mean, am I just talking like someone who doesn't do planning?
Well, it's a challenge because it's kind of like building a new airplane while you're flying the airplane.
That's what I mean. Land and start all over. No, you gotta still maintain that. You gotta be 1,000 feet in the air to do it.
Yes, you know, because it's always okay. This commercial area was built, you know, 40 years ago under a code, and certain uses were allowed in there, and certain standards, and it was built to that code. And then, if you just wipe it all out, then it's like, wait, I used to be able to do this, now I can't, or the standards changed, and it's can be challenging.
Right. And just the technology and uses and things that don't exist anymore that exist, and things that exist now that never existed.
Right.
It's just you know, when's the last time we updated our code?
Actually, in the 90s.
Oh, it was another one in the 90s. I got you. I see a theme here.
Yes.
Lots happened in the 90s.
Yes.
And so we're 30 years behind almost, basically, or at least 30 years since our last update.
Yeah. Well, there's a pattern there because we did a general plan in the early 90s. Then we updated our development code. Then we did a general plan update in 2015, and so now it's time to update the development code to match the general plan. So
excellent. So there is a plan.
There is a plan, yes.
And that answers the question, what's the plan? I don't believe it. We've come full circle here.
Yes.
In the holidays, it's amazing. It's the holiday, the Christmas miracle of what's the plan.
Yes.
All right, well, that's good. Again, as usual, along with just the stuff that's coming in every day, you have a lot of other things going on behind the scenes that generally don't affect the public until you're finished with these, don't you?
Oh, yes.
So that's good. Well, that's job security, too, for you and your staff. And I like your staff. They're good folks.
Thanks.
Anything else going on down there in planning we should know about?
Industrial development's going strong. We approved several warehouses out in the industrial areas. New businesses are coming in and talking to us. It's been popular. So, you know, it's not just the residential side. We talked about that, but really promoting new businesses. And Vacaville's a really attractive place for business.
Yeah, we're a hot spot right now, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
That means more jobs, more local jobs, less people commuting. Let's hope that trend continues.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, listen, Barton, thank you very much for being here today. And thank you all for watching this episode of What's the Plan? We'll see you next time.